like DNA, I know inside and out, but not the medicine. Why this topic? So that's, I remember walking on the street in Moscow. I was, I think, 15 years old, and I was kind of walking down the street, coming to my house, and I remember talking to myself, thinking that I want to show people how things are mystically connected in life. That things are not directly through material causes, somehow mystically there is some synchronicity. At that one time I didn't know the word, but how things synchronistically are connected in life, and how I want to teach people about that. That was my kind of decision on future career. So I was 15 years old, and then maybe a year before, I read a book on chemistry. We had a wonderful textbook for 7th grade chemistry, and I decided, okay, chemistry is so exciting. I will study chemistry and make the world better through chemistry. And then I went to Moscow University and chemical department, and I found that chemistry is dirty, smelly, and bad for you. I poisoned myself. I did explosions, so I harmed myself just a little bit. I was very careful about safety, but still. And then chemistry didn't look so good at that time, and especially chemical manufacturing and engineering, it was kind of nasty. I learned that I don't trust chemistry. I hate chemistry as chemicals. But then DNA was wonderful. DNA, I read the book about DNA, so 4th year at university I went into DNA. So DNA was the goal. I'm getting there to energy medicine. So, and then closer to the end of university, my very much beloved grandfather, who was into chemistry and physical chemistry, and also into esoterics in Russia. Somehow he can do that, especially if you're talking about communist esoterics. He sent me to a Moscow researcher who was studying something like homeopathy. His name was Tsvetkov. So he just found a little, it was like 70 something, a little note in newspaper about that Tsvetkov studying something about homeopathy, and sent it from Srilovsk to Moscow because I was in Moscow, go to and visit him. So I visited someone who studied something quite esoteric for that time. And it was real people, real nice people. I didn't stay there, but at least I was exposed very, very early. And then he kind of pushed me into herbal medicine, my grandfather, and light and stuff like that. So then I was, again, I guess it was 3rd year university. I was exposed. I studied DNA, and I went to some conference, and I was quite old at that time already, established scientist who studied that thing, non-randomness of things. His name is Simon Schnoll. He's still alive. When I called him about energy medicine, he sent me out. He studies non-randomness of things very specifically. So that's a good scientist. And when you do experiment over and over, you see that it comes out differently. And all other scientists in the world ignore that. And he asked, why do I do everything right and it comes out differently? What's wrong? Let's do 10,000 experiments and study that. So for 50 years, he and his laboratory did about few thousand experiments per day, very simplistic, and studied why don't they reproduce. So they discovered that sun affects, spots on the sun affects the experiments. Somehow they formulated the formula of vector of the world state. Basically, if you do different experiments, like study radioactive decay and some chemical reaction in different parts of the world at the same time, they show similar skew to one side, and then the next time it's skew to another side. There is something non-random in the world. So that was kind of exposure to something completely irrational, non-materialistic. There was a connection between different things in different parts of the world. So it was, I guess, in 1983. And then I went to study DNA more, and my professor was, Beltashvili was a student of Schnoll by some coincidence. So I was exposed again to this thing. And I went to Institute of Normal Physiology in Moscow, and I studied some boring protein, but next door, as I discovered later, I didn't meet these people. They studied healing. They studied healing, and they told me that the healers tried to heal somebody, and they would put different filters to see what is the nature of light that goes from the hands to a body. So I was part of that biophysical community, and that was big interest to me. Then I came to America, and I was invited to study schizophrenia genetics. It was exciting. So from DNA to genetics, schizophrenia, how does the brain work? And then even further, I went to the next lab and studied genetics of behavior. And there we had beautiful collection of individual DNAs. And these people were questioned on all sorts of their behavior patterns, like sexual preferences. How many times do you like sex? Do you want it in the morning or in the evening? That sort of things. And do you like new things, or do you like everything to be in order? And so all sort of very established questionnaires, and I looked at all the genes which we kind of were famous at the moment, and I saw that little correlation. The correlation was there, but it was small. And then it was 1999, and that kind of was stuck. I was stuck. I was in a leading laboratory, studying the leading topic, and the results were small. The concept, the question was wrong. Our DNA is not that variable. We are so similar to each other. It's not DNA that makes us different. That was my conclusion. And then I looked at astrology. Because we had the date of the birth, so can we look at if the zodiac sign affects the behavior of the person and preferences? And one of the strongest correlation was, no, that was not the strongest correlation. So strongest correlation was between the gene and the behavior. There was a correlation which then was even published. Belief in God was somehow affected by mutation. That's very, very interesting. But astrology, what I found, astrology was affecting the behavior as strongly as mutations. And now I know that astrology, the date of the birth is affecting behavior, the genes are affecting the behavior, and the soul which incarnates in you is also affecting the behavior. So there are at least 3 components. Where am I? I'm still on the why the topic. And then, so it's 1999. And then I went to Moscow, traveling from America to Moscow, and out of nowhere, just acquaintance, Natasha Priyanova came and brought to me a book by Garyaev, Peter Garyaev. And he's famous in a way. Absolutely obnoxious book, absolutely obnoxious scientist, but he talks about wave genetics, wave genes. The gene which defines the wave pattern. The gene, the sequence of DNA which is interacting with some sort of electromagnetic or light or laser light patterns. And he says that the whole concept of modern biology is missing a point. Modern biology talks about only chemicals working, and it's missing the point that DNA is a perfect, almost perfect crystal which can send and receive the light and maybe contain the light. So it was 1999, the book was written in 1994, and he formulated that the cell is full of light, and it kind of shook me, and I wanted to study that. And until that point, I didn't make much progress. In science, I didn't make much progress, like only small bits and pieces. I participated in good things, but really nothing good came out of it. You're from energy medicine, so have one chair here and grab more chairs down there.
Okay.
All right. So I went into trying to study laser therapy, like not cutting lasers, not the lasers that are used for surgery, but soft healing light, non-burning light, laser therapy. And I even started a company, Healing Photonics, and sold few lasers until I figured out in America you can't just go against the flow. You just will be smashed. So it was just because you compete with. If you have laser drugs, why do you need chemical drugs, right? So that alternative is not. In Canada, you can sell lasers. In Europe, in China, but not across. Not on this side of the lake. In Toronto, there are beautiful, wonderful laser clinics. So if you have arthritis or diabetic wounds. 3-hour drive and you get into Meditech clinic. They are just real experts in laser therapy of arthritis and diabetic wounds. Meditech. So I went there and then I read the book The Field. I will show that book later, but The Field by Lynn McTaggart, which you mentioned, which shows you that we are living, we are made out of waves. We are not really material. When we feel something hard, it's our waves interact with the waves of something hard. We're becoming particles only under observation, and if we are not absorbed, then it's a wave. The matter is just electromagnetic fields interacting with other electromagnetic fields. And Lynn McTaggart, I mean, the most mind-blowing experiment Lynn McTaggart described, she was describing different experiences of others, was how big should be a particle to behave as a wave. So if you know, there is a classical physics experiment. You send electrons, for example, and you put two slits, and electrons go through two slits, and there is X-ray film, and they kind of leave spots on the film. So how many? So if you send particles, they should just go and leave a straight line. So two holes, electron flies. It should be like that. On the film, you should see that. And what you see is interference pattern. And that's what it means. You see waves spreading around because one electron behaves like a wave. It goes through two holes simultaneously, and then these patterns interact, and that's what you see, the result of interaction. And if you see this periodic pattern, it's named interference. So it's classical. Now, how big can be a particle to go through two holes? Currently, the book was written like 4 years ago. 100 atoms crystal of 100 atoms would leave the pattern like that. So if it's not one electron, it's a crystal of 100 atoms. It can go simultaneously, one crystal through two slots and leave a pattern. So if you have two doors, you can go probably simultaneously through two doors because we are also made out of waves. It doesn't happen often, but that's the nature of our reality. We are waves. And so that's, and things like that described by McTaggart. I finished the book. It was 3 years ago in February. And I thought, if that is true, extraterrestrials have to be true. That was only 3 years ago. I remember before that, my coworkers were discussing the aliens, and they said, no, I don't believe in aliens. And by the way, they were discussing the Cubans coming to America. It was, I think, 1996, there was like aliens in newspapers. So it was a shame, but I remember I didn't believe that they can be visited. I would believe that they are somewhere there, but not here. And with all, I believed in God, in angels, but not aliens coming here and messing up here. So I started looking at the internet. I saw the grays, the images, the flying saucers, and I was just obsessed for a week. I was looking at that, and then I became sick, and I was kind of recovering for half a year. It was like rashes and pains. It was really hard, and I don't know, maybe for you it will be easier, but for me at 99 it was tough. And one of the things was that the toughest thing for a scientist, you probably would understand, was that you're in the top of the field, you're in the best lab studying the most important stuff, and then you understand that you're being bred, you're being manipulated. So they are breeding us, we are a big experiment. So I don't know what's the difference. I was fine that God would be like controlling us, the angel would be controlling us, even bad angels, like dark fallen angels, but not humanoid extraterrestrials. That's what I didn't that was was depressing for me, because if they are here, it means that they are more developed than we are, and why would we need to discover anything? They already know everything. They will give us when they considered us ready, but not before that. So, discovering anything was not. So that was wasn't interested anymore. That was my main crisis, and now I think I'm over it. But at that point, it was, what do you do? I mean, if there is everything is already discovered, why do you need to do any more science? All right, so dimensional, genetic astrology, Reiki. So I was treated by Reiki. I really love Reiki. Reiki is energy healing. A person lays on the table, and people might touch a person or might just do some manipulation in the air, and they kind of feel something, and then they kind of pull out bad energies and then put in good energies and close. And they don't use their own energy, they kind of redirect the flow of life energy into the person. Reiki, I was kind of exposed to that even before extraterrestrials. If you just Google Reiki in Rochester, we have wonderful healers, wonderful. So that is great. We also have Qigong. Lisa O'Shea is a Qigong master having a Qigong Institute, and it's same thing, just different country. Reiki comes from Japan and mostly kind of is all around the world, and Qigong is Japanese sort of Reiki, which is maybe older, but it's really hard to tell. And they also do the same energy work. Qigong also is involves diagnosis, very advanced Chinese diagnosis, which they smell you, they touch you, they do the temperature, they look at your tongue, and a good way would be to smell your excrements and things like that. But they really they classify disbalances in you, and that's kind of strength of Qigong. I'm done with this page. There will be more. So the sources of my research: ufology, abductions, contacts, channelings, and hypnotic regressions. And when I started thinking about energy medicine, it just came to me. It's an interesting topic. I didn't think about Edgar Cayce, but then yes, Edgar Cayce is a channeler and a healer, and the best channeler in the world, and one of the best healers in the world. He lived about and practiced about 100 years ago, and he died in 1945. And he wanted to be, at some point, he wanted to have a clinic, he wanted to be big, he wanted to be famous, and he failed. Only thing that he did really well all his life, people came to him about between 10 and 20 patients a day. And he laid on the couch, on this couch, that's a real couch. And he closed his eyes, he went into trance, and he was only pronounced, in the beginning it was his father, who was his secretary, and there was a stenographer. He was only given the name and address of the patient, and the patient didn't have to be there. And somehow Cayce, with this different voice, very clearly described what the diagnosis. Diagnosis was very important for Cayce. And then he described the therapy in terms of 100 years, 80 years ago. So what they had surgery, they had diet, exercise, relaxation, and drugs and herbs. And he used only that, nothing fancy. And his success rate was great. There were great healings, and most importantly, how just by the name of the patient he didn't know, he could describe everything about the patient. It was only for healing, he didn't do much more. His business predictions didn't work that well. And he wanted to build, at some point, somebody offered, how about we just dig gold or oil, and you just lay down and predict where oil is, and we will be rich, and it didn't work. He was allowed only to do that all his life, and he did it great. His fail rate was close to zero. There is much legacy, people describe it, all his readings are cataloged, published, there is a community, so he is one of the best. It's a miracle, and why did the higher forces allowed him to do that? First, it's healing, right? And second, it's demonstration for us that there is so much out there. And if you're supposed to heal, just don't try to strike oil. I guess that's another lesson. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do, but I guess.
Psychics don't win the lottery.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's again. So I guess my hope that I'm supposed to be here telling you that. That's the idea. You know all of that, but I kind of try to summarize and bend it, especially for the newcomers, to learn all that. So ufology. That's our. We have quite a few members here. Would you like to expose yourself? So that's the UFO meetup group. So at that day when I started looking, I said, how about UFO Rochester? And Cookie was there, and that group was there, and I started visiting them. So we have one of the best groups in the world.
Thank you. It is the best.
Just we are the best. Why is that? It's a secret, and I don't know the answer. But we also have a famous ufologist who is like really hardcore. He studies only archive documents, and just based on archive documents, he can become famous in ufology. But you have to be Richard Dolan to do that. All right. So Richard Dolan, AD. So disclosure is coming. So we are achieving a big thing, discussing that thing before disclosure. When disclosure comes, it will be like commonplace thing, talking about extraterrestrial. Before the disclosure is coming, hopefully it will come soon, but you never know. What do I mean disclosure? Official announcement that yes, they have been negotiating to each other, the aliens and the world governments, and that they hid it from other people. All right. For healing, just ufology, watching the UFOs flying doesn't help that much.
Yes,
You really.
excuse me. Can I say something about
Sure.
him? On March 31st at Niagara County Community College, Dr. David Jacobs will be there along with Peter Robbins. The woman that was abducted on the Brooklyn Bridge, I'm sorry, I cannot remember her name. 1987, she was, or 89, was adopted on the Brooklyn Bridge with multiple witnesses. And there's one more man they just added today, and he deals with government secrecy and UFO. It starts, I believe, at 6 o'clock at night. There will be a complete seminar with the 4 speakers, and then after that there'll be a discussion panel, and I've been invited to be on that, and I'm thrilled. And it starts, I believe it's 6 or 7, I'm not sure. It's posted on my website. And if somebody's got a computer, we can look it up before you leave, and I'll give you the exact time. It's about, how long is it, 45-minute drive? Do you remember? 45-minute drive?
Approximately.
It's at Niagara County Community College. It's north of Buffalo. And that's it. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, but when I saw his name, I got excited.
Yes, sure. So that's a great book. I have reservations about it because it's based on fear, and it kind of, your fear becomes huge when you finish the book.
Can you shut that down?
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
No,
Thank you.
So it's David Jacobs interviewed a lot of abductees, people who getting abducted by the aliens, and learned a lot from them. And the book is basically interviews, hypnotic regressions, and you learn so much from this book. It's amazing. And I was focused on biology. What's the biology of extraterrestrials? What's the biology of the hybrid beings between human and extraterrestrials? A lot can be learned there. So, and you don't have to be afraid of that. You're afraid only because you think you're human. If you think that you are at least partly an alien, then, or that the future of humanity is to be open to the aliens, and the aliens will be living, walking among us, marrying our children, will have wonderful different hybrid grandchildren, then this aliens would be, and these grandchildren would be better than us in many ways, then it's not that scary. The question is that the information, you really have to understand, you have to have free, informed, not just free choice, free, informed choice, that's the key. You have to read and understand and then choose, do you want to be friends with these aliens, or these aliens, or all together, or none? It has to be informed choice. So that's why it's important to understand all that. So that's one of the sources. There will be many more. The Keepers, it's an abductee. He will be talking in Toronto very recently, Jim Sparks, and his knee was healed by the aliens. He was painting his house. He knew he was abducted all the time by the grace. He is the one who is abducted by grace. And he fell down, and his ligament in the knee was completely torn, and he was said that the surgery he will have the surgery, but he would never be able to use the knee at full capacity again. So the day before the surgery, something happened. They abducted him, returned him. He has in the book the photograph with little nice, well-spaced spots, meaning that it was a sign that they did something. And the surgery was canceled, and he has as good knee as before. And human surgeons cannot really reconstruct neither the cartilage in the knee nor the ligament. So that was a neat healing. And he talks also about the biology of the grays. He kind of, there was a nice story about him, I think. The grays are kind of clumsy, and sometimes they're just not as smart as they're supposed to be, because they're coming from higher spheres and have to really like work with our physical things. It's not natural for them. Here they kind of very limited. So he and someone else, a woman, at some night he was abducted, was returned back, and he wasn't in his short, he was in female short. And then at some conference he met a woman, he met the woman who had his short. So they were switched. I mean, their short was switched. They were returned in the right places, but their shorts was switched. So that was like, things like that happen. I will tell a story similar to that just in a minute. Okay, John Mack is another. He has so much weight because he was a famous, I guess, academic psychologist. And,
No, he was a psychiatrist. MD. And he put all his weight, and he worked in Harvard, right? Yes.
And he stayed in Harvard, and a Harvard scientist was world famous, studying abductions and studying. I mean, children are wonderful witnesses because they are not that much exposed and they can't fake that much. So he had on YouTube. There is a movie, Experiences, Dr. John E. Mack, and just children talking about aliens. I mean, that's one of the very convincing, I would say, witnesses. I didn't read this book. I have it. It's just too much detail for me. It's kind of I'm behind. I'm reading a few other books, but not this one. But there is again a lot of good information, interviews with people, and he is very open there. He's very open. He was killed by a truck, and we had John Roberts. Peter Roberts said he went to the place where a truck killed him, and there is no way, I guess, traditional secret services could arrange that death. He was on the top of his career, like speaking everywhere, telling about abductions, and he was killed. So naturally it can be done, but supernaturally, if you program somehow or modify the reality, it could be done, of course.
Drunk driver.
Yeah, but they can manipulate us. That's my point. They can manipulate things in a way which are not. It doesn't have to be all spies of 60s. It can be something on the other side manipulating things. There is lots more information. Just highlights UFO encounters in Australia. That's just not the real name of the movie, but The nice thing about that YouTube movie is that it's kind of clean. It's not as scary as others. I recommend it. Real alien interview. This is just voice, but I think this abductee is very advanced. I really like his thing. I disagree in a few things, but it's nice. So if you don't have pencil and paper, there is some more if you like. And the whole PowerPoint is on my site. I just uploaded before coming here. MaxSteinberg.com. There is blog. It's like a recent entry in the blog. There's also videos, my videos, and the book, my book there. And the book, $20, available for purchase. You can also buy electronic version. And many chapters of the book are on the website. So this interview I took, we have one abductee, contactee in right. She's not abductee in a way. Abductee is involuntary. She volunteered for that. When she was a young girl, she was asked if she wants to participate, to help, to save a race, by the grace, and she agreed. And now we know that many abductees who don't know that they agreed on the soul level. They agreed to serve as abductees. So she is the one who remembers much, and so I have about 5 hours of interview, a lot of information there. Now Russian. So I'm coming from Russia, and when I look at Russian sources, they are very much unpolluted by Western media. Like in Soviet Union, we never saw a picture of gray ever until the perestroika of 1989, 1990. We didn't have any information about the aliens coming to mass use. Maybe KGB knew that, but not other people. We were behind the curtain, and it was all filtered. And also there was no commercial success of any writers or public figures who talk about alien contact. So if people came up with their stories, it was not because of personal gain. Famous Kirsan Ilyumzhinov, first president of Kalmykia, former Soviet Union, he was invited, and he was had a tour on a spaceship, and he always talks about that very freely. I just collected a couple of Svetlana Masur, Andrei Shkolin. They have been abducted, and they have implants and stuff like that. So there is a Russian part. Okay, alien hybridization program. It's an official alien hybridization program which was run by the Greys, the typical Greys. So that's an alien Grey. Very small nose, very small mouth. All right. The story goes like that. The Germans seem to have contacted Greys and been helped by Greys. And then after the war were lost, like Germans, some migrated to United States. And in any case, around 1952, there was a first negotiation between the Greys and the, government of the American government of that time. And two groups offered their services. One was more human-looking like, not Greys, more human-looking likes. And they offered technologies, healing technologies, free energy, transportation, in exchange for full disarmament on the Earth. And the second group offered weapons, technologies, in exchange for allowing, as I was told recently, allowing to abduct 100,000 of Americans to run the alien hybridization program. Other dates are named 1962, 1964, but around that time it was kind of agreements were made, and then both sides kind of violated the agreements. One of the conditions, of course, the agreements were made for weapons, and one of the conditions was help in abductions, so the government has to help and hide stuff. And second, that it has to do ecological cleaning. And apparently the government did do a good job helping ecological cleaning And the Greys also didn't really follow their path. So both sides kind of deviated, but because they wanted to continue, they continued no matter what. And the secret services kind of split and then separated and fragmented, so there were many projects and we don't really know what they were. But humans that apparently also had some sort of participation. Some abductees report seeing human officers up there or being taken to military bases. So it's a contaminated story. Now, how bad it is. Again, if we think that we are fine by ourselves, then it's very bad to be intervened. But if you think that we have been manipulated for the whole history, and now is the time for us to evolve, and hybridization might be a step which helps us to evolve, then it's not that bad. One thing to remember, and it's just a logical thing, we are not being contacted by the aliens of our level. They all higher level. The ones which are on our level, they are not allowed to be contacted, to contact us, because we will fight to death with them. I mean, the ones which are 3D civilization, technological civilizations, they are just too dangerous for each other. So the higher level, more powerful aliens, they kind of are in control. Now, another thing which apparently happened, there was a fight over there, and it goes in different timelines, in different times, in different dimensions. But apparently, in later years, that fight, at least in our reality, around our reality, our time, is kind of ceased, and it's more like a state of a Cold War, or maybe even kind of weak peace, or even strong peace. So these people, these aliens, good and bad ones, friendly and unfriendly, are in a state of relative peace. They share the ships, and there was a message recently, one of the aliens talking to us. I will explain how they talk to us, but not to me, but through the internet, through the channelers. He mentioned that he is renting a base, and the neighbors on the base are the bad guys. So the good guys and bad guys on the base on the moon, on the backside of the moon, they kind of co-renting the same base, and they run their affairs. So that's kind of, even if it's not true, it's a good illustration how things are out there. They are kind of invisibly manipulating the things. So the hybridization program. What are the goals of the hybridization program? First goal is the Greys, apparently, at least it's one of the stories, they can't really procreate anymore. They are too old of the race, and they have trouble procreation. So they value the life very much. It's really hard for them to create viable bodies. So the fact that we are a young race and we can multiply well, and we're also humans and we have similar genetics, kind of is an excuse for them to mix their genes and our genes and create new races which are procreate better. Now, one of my most trusted sources, Bashar, says that in different timelines, in different realities, there are 5 civilizations which already have been created in the future. Okay, already have been created in the future, because there is a time travel. We know that 5 races which are a result of this hybridization program. One of these races is Bashar's race, Sasani, and another of these races is Yael Shalanayo race, which are the ones which are responsible for Phoenix Lights sighting. In 1997, if I'm not mistaken, there was a fleet of lights, mostly triangular aircraft, flying all over Arizona, and Bashar says there was 10,000 witnesses, and Wikipedia doesn't contradict that. So there was tons of witnesses, and this was Shalanai, Yael, the hybrids which are closest to us, and according to at least Bashar's political alliance, they are the ones who are scheduled to be in contact with us in about 12, 15 years, 2023, 2027. So that's when they kind of officially land and be invited and kind of Arizona, Sedona are the sites where they hope and plan to be making their colonies and interacting with us, as Bashar says, on a physiological level and understand that kind of touch, interbreed, stuff like that. Where we are, typical experience. So a typical experience, 3 a.m., a person wakes up after being taken. Numbers of abductees is hard to estimate, but looks like it's more than 100,000. There were some questionnaires and indirect questionnaires which estimated, but the numbers are huge. Again, I started this abductee support group in Rochester, and we have few people who come over and over, and only one of them is like classical abductee, abducted by grace. Everyone else is not sure, or not by grace, or being interested. And I expected that there will be more people coming, and it's not happening. So other groups maybe advertise more, and they have more people coming, and there is more support. But in Rochester, it doesn't seem to be a big. So we don't have thousands of people coming. That's for sure. But there are abduction networks. There are websites where people share their experiences. So typically people remember very little or nothing. They just know that they have been abducted by some side kind of lost time marks, surgical marks, things like that. But some people are remembering the abductions. And what happens? Typically 3 grays come. It don't have to be grays. Sometimes other beings come, other humanoid beings come. But 3 grays come. They are like typically the workers are not very tall, quite clumsy. Very often they behave like biorobots, and they are actually, many of them are biorobots, and they have special eyes, and they put a person in sleep state by either by sound or by sound and light, or by just staring at eyes. And one woman of in one of your reports said that she hated being abducted, and she didn't want to be stared, and you're paralyzed when you're abducted. So the only thing she could do, she could move the eyes. So she would roll the eyes back and forth, preventing eye contact, and that kind of didn't allow a gray to accomplish the abduction. So he gave up. So this stare is described by David Jacobs in his book The Thread. A lot of stare involved, and the hybrids. So the hybrids. Okay, now I'm jumping. Bashar says by that time, starting from around 50s, they have already made about 30 generations of hybrids. How is it possible? Because they're different reality in different time. They can stretch time. They can travel. So they already have about 30 generations of hybrids, and the people who are attracted to these lectures, especially to Bashar's lectures, some of them ask Bashar, who is an extraterrestrial talking through a channeler, do we have children up there? Do we have hybrid children? And very often he says yes, and very often it's like 6 or 10 children. And he says that children say hi to you because the Greys are all in telepathic contact, and he's in telepathic contact with his children. And the children say hi to you and say that in a dream state, try to communicate to them, be more open. They are ready to communicate when you are. So I would assume in this room also we have maybe some parents of hybrid children. I don't know if I do have, but I'm very attracted to the whole topic by some reason.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes,
You didn't get to the 1952 story, but I'm kind of...
I did. That was when I started the deal.
Because that's when I was born, and my children and I have been having experiences all the way through, and I wonder if I was part of that. I don't know.
Let's discuss it offline. Yes?
Did that have anything to do with like the nuclear arms that we had and trying to get a treaty with that at all? Was there?
Sure, yes.
I know
They wanted
tried-
full
yeah.
disarmament.
Yeah,
the Greys also want to prevent ecological disaster. They want the whole population to be alive and well, because they don't only need the planet, they need our genes and our biological force, our life force, and they want to inbreed with us. They want to breed their genes and use our already momentum of energy, our big population to push it. And one thing is ascension, which I would want to talk later.
In your opinion, are they a good race for us, or?
Oh, that's a great question. Are they a good race? Originally they behaved pretty nastily,
Yeah.
especially in the early stages. Bashar says that with time they became much more compassionate with us. One thing about the Greys, we are not the first who are affected by them. Apparently they did it to many other civilizations. It's to secretly sneak in and infuse your genes and try to take over by just pushing your genes into whatever race is there. That's the principle. They're good at that. But also because of their, so they have been originally, I mean that's their story, they are a result of self-destruction. At some point their planet was self-destructed and there was nuclear or something similar to nuclear holocaust where they couldn't survive. They had to genetically engineer themselves from scratch, and that's what they made. So they removed, at least some of them, they don't have sex. They breed in vitro, technologically. They killed all the emotions of anger and any fighting emotions, any inclination to do the war. They are sort of self-serving, but as a whole, as a civilization, but they are not engaged in any sort of negative activity like wars. And they, again, I was told it's not confirmed that they kind of inbred in them insects, so they have hive mentality. Hive mentality is well confirmed. About insect genes is just one message which I don't know if it's true, but they are one mind. Bashar once was asked, are the Greys supervised and controlled by praying mantis beings? It's like taller, praying mantis looking beings, also humanoid, but looking differently. And Bashar says, no, you are misunderstanding something. They're one mind. It's like, you're saying, is your big finger controlling other fingers? No, they are, the praying mantis is more like on the control side, but it's not that they're controllers, they're just a part of the same body. So all the Greys are the same body. That's very interesting. They're telepathically connected. And once there was a channeling, like through a medium, a channeling of a Grey who wanted to channel to us, which is rare. They don't frequently channel to us. And he said he wasn't involved in abductions. He was on a ecological cleanup mission. He was flying and measuring and cleaning up the planet. So he was asked different questions, and he answered all technical questions. And then at some point he was asked, what's your agenda, guys? And he says, I can't answer you. I have access to all our information, but that part of information is blocked to me now. Can you remove the block? I'm not supposed to. So they're telepathic, they're one mind, but a bee is not allowed to access some information. So it's like on internet, there are passwords, they're all one internet, but you can't really get into some parts. So it's a very structured mind. Now the hybrids talk to us, especially like their visits, some abductees, first they can be abductees without free will, but then when they meet their children, they kind of become more educated, and at some point they start collaborate, and they're allowed to remember their visits. They're allowed to walk, have a tour of the ship, walk there, be part of that thing. And for the newborn babies, it's very nice for the babies to be held by human mothers. So they were specifically asked to hold the baby, and then it helps very much to health. So, what I was talking about? I lost the train of thought. Okay, sorry. So the abductee, the hybrids already grown-up hybrids in the book of the thread um, talk to us and say, be aware, you will gain a lot by becoming more of a gray kind, but you lose a lot. First the thing you lose is individuality. You become part of the whole. You're not by yourself anymore. Second thing you lose your a lot of your emotion, because the grays kind of kill these emotions, and many of the hybrids don't have the same emotions. And third, the family is also kind of dissolved. I'll talk more about the, actually maybe I'll talk now, family dissolved. So Bashar talks about, we know most about 4 density beings from Bashar, because he talks already for 26 years, and his civilization is a hybrid civilization between us and the Grace, and 300 years in the future. So he kind of travels and hangs in our time, but he's talking to us in the future. And he talks through a human medium, Daryl Anka. And he's very consistent, and I really trust him. So about the families, he says that when they started, their civilization was created. They were like us. They had sail ships, they had animals, plants, economy, and things like that. But they evolved pretty fast. And at some point in their civilization, and they had planet very similar to ours, a being came, like Christ being came, and in 3 days united the whole civilization telepathically and left. And they just discovered that they kind of ascended to the 4th density. We have 3rd density, they have 4th density. So at that time they had sex like as we do, they had babies as we do, and ate as we did, and sleep as we do. Now for the food they kind of simplified it and created one simple like soybean-like bean, and that was their food. They didn't engage in much of that. He said before that they had kind of cooking arts, and when he described their dish, it was kind of a mixture of celery juice, beet juice, and orange juice. So like he also said, try it. That would be like our civilization, kind of representation of what we cooked at that time. They have music. They still have music. They have very simple music. And Bashar says that the music. Why do they have simple music? Because they get more of what is there just from simple music. People get like 3 notes, turn it down. And why do humans need so many notes? But when somebody played, somebody brought a hand drum, a nice musical instrument, and played for Bashar on his presentation. Bashar said that the whole 200,000 of his civilization people listened in and thanked for the experience of listening. Talking about telepathic races. Telepathic races lose hearing. If you are telepathic, why do you need to hear? So they kind of lose hearing, they lose the music, and when they incarnated humans on Earth, they love musical professions because that's for them is an experience which you can get in their civilization. So telepathy kind of relieves you from music. The family. I was talking about the family. So at that point, they kind of higher 4th density. They 4th density still have bodies. The high 4th density is a Sasanian race, and they don't have sex anymore in the way we do. They don't sleep anymore. They don't eat anymore. They're more energetic beings, but they have still physical bodies. And when they need to create children, they just decide to create a child. 2 people decide to create a child, a male and female. And by just energy effort, they create a baby who is already 3 years old, looking like 3 years old. And by that time, that baby, which is created, is having a soul already, which had past incarnations, and remembers this past incarnation. They don't have that veil which separates you from past. So it's an adult soul in a young body. So the baby is is allowed to make choices as an adult because it already has a memory. We don't, but they do. And that's why they don't have the family. The baby kind of wanders and being taught by people who are professional teachers, professional baby carers, but the parents are not playing much role anymore in bringing up the baby. So the family is not working in that way. So that's kind of gray human hybrid. And that story feels very much how it is. I believe that, how it is. Okay, so that kind of what shook me and made me believe more. So there is a site, aliens and children, and there is a lot of drawings of one girl, and we are talking about saving our genome in case we do planetary suicide. The Greys did all that. They have huge collections of human, human material, genetic material in their possession somewhere in other dimensions. So if we destroy ourselves, the genetic material will be stored. And the witnesses, and they are very proud of that achievement. Basically, from dry DNA doesn't work. It's broken and it's not alive. You really have to store a live cell to have it right, and it should be a live body. Ideally, it should be a live body. So they have the way to conserve, to put asleep and conserve the whole alive bodies, and they have more than 10,000, maybe closer to 100,000 bodies in their big storage facilities, and they're very proudly for the abductees, conductees who deserve that right. They bring them and show them this facility. So that's one of the tanks. You have people sleeping there, and so they have humans and also have the hybrids conserved there. So that's the reality, and there is many more of those. It's a typical operation, a girl laying on the table and 4 Greys doing operation. What's it? That's a Grey and a mother and a daughter going down the saucer. A saucer, a light beam. Somehow they can extend the light beam, grab something, and bring it back to the saucer. And the moon there, and children with hybrid children. All right. Alien boy scared. Alien hybrid. Hybrid alien lady, alien girl. Hybrid human alien girl. Hybrid human alien girl. With hybrid Buran, I don't know. Buran, alien hybrid, Ariel is the girl who drew that. You can read that. Alien boy hybrid, color space. I've never heard about multicolored aliens. Different colors, yes, but not multicolored one face. Hybrid, I can't read it. Hybrid alien girl. Alien hybrid. And that's very much fits really well the book, The Thread, the first book by David Jacobs. Really fits, really like illustration for the book. Again, the ship and the light beam going down, hybrids, alien, sick baby. You see sick baby down there? All right. So that kind of, when you have children witnessing that, that's kind of make it real. Now, just recently I started researching the topic of timeline 1, timeline 2, and it was Bashar mentioning Kayala. Kayala is the name of he said it was a hybrid, alien, gray human hybrid, who participated in negotiations of 2003-2004. It's just Google Dan Burish transcript. It's on YouTube, but also the reading transcript helps a lot because his voice is not very clear. So he said in 2003 he was participating, he was part of Illuminati meeting. There were two representatives of Grace, of future humans from timeline 2, the bad outcome timeline, which are from 45,000 years in the future. Another two beings from 52,000 years in the future. And Nordics, like Scandinavian-looking aliens from Orion, big empire, from 52,000 years in the future timeline too. So all six of them were from bad timeline, and that's where we destroyed ourselves, and we became sort of gray looking. Can you see it? Yeah, gray looking. So 45,000 years from now, in timeline 2, we are becoming grays, or looking like grays. In timeline 1, we remain humans and we don't destroy ourselves. And the split apparently, according to few sources, happened in 1983. And I can congratulate you that on my understanding we are on timeline 1. We're really there. Yes.
Break.
Anytime. You want a break? All right. 10 minutes?
No, thank you.
Yeah, the books of approaches. I sold this thing, but I sold it. Work out. So that was you.
Soul is coming in right now.
It's live. Not memory.
He lost a lot of time.
20 pounds of time.
Excellent.
Thank you.
17. You're still losing.
I am.